Welcome back to Southpaw Picks, and you're here with your host Charles, and we're going to be getting into the UFC 270 breakdowns, Francis Ngannou versus Gane, and what a heavyweight matchup we got ahead of us. It's been, like I said, 4 weeks. We just came off that UFC fight card with Giga and Calvin Kattar, and the appetite is at an all-time high for some combat sports. Now, we got a big offering for this pay-per-view. Got early prelims, and the main card. And we got a lot of debuting fighters on here. We got fighters like Raoni Barcelos, who you already know already, Michel Pereira, Said Nurmagomedov, and Cody Stamann, and of course the 2 title fights at the top. What a night is ahead of us, and I see tons of spots for us to get our hands on some good bets and bring home some cash this weekend and continue the streak. We're coming off a 7+ unit winning last week, so we're gonna try and continue that momentum and destroy 2022 and make the bookies cry. You understand? So, without further ado, let's get down to the first fight of the night. And we got a welterweight scrap between Jack Maddalena and Pete Rodriguez. Now, both guys making their debut, their UFC debut, right? Both guys not too much experience as far as, notable names that you're familiar with. But the Jack Maddalena, I actually had to play against him in the Contender Series here on Angie Lusa. I thought Lusa would be able to catch his chin. I felt that Jack is a bit of a tough guy, and he kind of uses his chin as a defense. And boy, was I mistaken. He came out there and put on probably one of his best performances ever, taking some of the heavy shots and really showing that he's able to dig deep in a fight and push through and make adjustments, right? Showing you a bit of the hands, showing you a bit of the grappling. It was a really eye-opening performance, and one that I kind of regret going against old Jack there, right? I regret going against Jack. And then we got this little fireball here in Pete Rodriguez. Dead game, and I mean, that's a fantastic name for this guy. You see, KO, first round KO, it's definitely low level. He's fighting out of the promotion icon, but come on, 2 minutes and 21 seconds, 41 seconds, 10 seconds. He's an animal. He's on the smaller side. They have him listed as 5'9" here, so he will be giving up 2 inches in height. But guess what? He makes that up in 3 inches. I mean, makes that up with the same inches in reach. And I mean, we are using Tapology. We're not using the UFC stat page. But, more than not, Tapology has it roughly around the same ballpark here. And the way I see this fight gonna go, being the first fight of the night, a lot of nerves for both these debuting guys, and basically based off the tape we've seen from Pete Rodriguez, he's got heavy hands, he's very explosive, he's very dangerous in that early part of the first round. But I'm going to put that aside on just how good his highlights look and just how aggressive he looks, and I'm gonna go pick Jack here. And I'm gonna pick Jack based on one thing that I've learned from watching him fight, a better caliber opponent than anyone here that Pete Rodriguez has had to fight. He's tough, right? He's tough. He's gonna dig deep, and if you're picking a fighter here, you want someone that's gonna dig deep when the fight gets tough. Experience is on his side. Striking, Rodriguez definitely has the power advantage, but as far as the technical ability, and just the overall repertoire of his skill set, I think Jack Maddalena should roll here. And they have him priced as a -300 favorite. Kind of steep, but I do think he's the rightful winner of this bout. And I will go Jack Maddalena, second round KO. Not a TKO. Second round KO. I think he's going to flatline Rodriguez after he empties that gas tank in the first round. But wouldn't be surprised if some of you guys have a bet out there for Pete Rodriguez in the first round. Take a flyer on that. On to the next bout of the night, which I'm shocked. And this is, like I said, this is the Tapology bout order, so it obviously could change. We got Ilia Topuria versus Charles Jourdain. And, man, what a fight. The odds on here is crazy. Ilia is a -500 favorite. Charles coming in at +390. On my book, he's a +430. Let me tell you something. 25, 26, 5'7", 5'9", the same reach. This is going to be a scrap. Now, Ilia definitely has the grappling chops here, right? He's shown you that in his 3 fights in the UFC. He showed you great grappling against Yusuf Salal. Let's take that with a grain of salt, though. And I'm going to touch upon that. Damon Jackson just body head in the small cage. Ryan Hall, I mean, to me, as dangerous as Ryan Hall's leg locks are, I feel like that is a more common situation that will happen to him more than it won't. Someone just kind of propping him up and just beating him down while he's playing jiu-jitsu. Now, Charles, you look at this record, it's a bit scattered. He looked awesome against Andre Ewell, but Andre Ewell isn't the best caliber fighter out here. Julian Erosa, he was winning until he wasn't. Darce choke, so a lot of people are going to be thinking, hey, Ilia could get him with the Darce. That was the third round, if I'm not mistaken. Now, let's click back into here. I remember that was like a third round, 2 minutes, 56 seconds. Him on his way to win that fight. Marcelo Araujo, third round finish for Charles Jourdain. Marcelo Araujo is a dog. Very similar to Ilia Topuria as far as the pressure and the bombs that he likes to wing. You know, you might say Ilia's a bit crisper. That's fair. Joshua Killabo, sorry. You know, we didn't really know how good this guy is. But as you can see, he's 9-1 and continued to progress. He got that Shalan Nurmagomedov win. And, I mean, we just saw Shalan cruise over the striking phenom, Seriano, right? Sean Seriano. And he has a split decision to Andre Fili. And, I mean, that's a staple in the division, right? Like, don't get this twisted. 20-7. He's been competitive. Des Green, he took that fight on short notice, up a weight class. Doho Choi, and let's click this because if I remember, plus 300 underdog. Listen, Charles Jourdain has been in this position before. And maybe it's because I'm Canadian. Maybe it's because I love Charles Jourdain's fighting style. He has a chance. I don't care what these odds say. Yes, we know he has an issue with the grappling. Yes, we know Ilia Topuria is a phenomenal black belt, right? But you know what? I do look back to some of those exchanges with Yusuf Salal, someone who definitely physically doesn't measure up to some of those guys in the featherweight division, right? Especially the physicality. And you know what? The consistent rolling and the consistent scrambling gave him trouble. Now, obviously, Jourdain can't scramble to the same ability as Yusuf Salal. But Charles Jourdain is not going to backpedal in this fight. He's fresher. He's coming off a more recent dominant victory. He was, look at this, 4 weeks ago. 4 months ago. That's activity. Last time you seen Ryan Hall, last time you seen Ilia Topuria was 6 months ago, really quick fight. A year ago, really quick fight. And we saw that Yusuf Salal really slowing down in the third round. And if we look at Charles Jourdain, what does he do when the fight gets longer? He picks it up. I think Charles Jourdain is live here. Am I going to go on the record and have the balls to say Charles Jourdain and put my money on it? Probably not. I think Ilia Topuria is the rightful favorite. I do believe his easiest path to victory is getting the fight to the ground and snatching up a choke. But if he chooses to go in there and have a little bit of an ego battle with Charles Jourdain, he might wake up looking at the lights. So as much as I'm going to pick Ilia Topuria here to win in the early breakdown, I will have a little bit of sprinkling going on Charles Jourdain by KO because he's a dog. Is Ilia ready for the dog fight, right? Is Ilia ready for a dog fight? Now, next fight of the night, we got a strawweight bout between Venessa Demopoulos and Silvana Gomez Juarez. Now, I broke down this fight last week, and things change now, right? In my opinion, things change. So, in the first fight, I said it's really a bit of a coin flip here, but, you know, smaller cage, probably quicker to get to the clinch, probably quicker to use the cage work. Now we're in the bigger cage. A lot more room to maneuver. I think Venessa Demopoulos' wrestling ability here is going to get stifled. I don't believe she's the caliber wrestler as Lupita, as you see last week, who really put the pressure on Silvana Gomez. And even in that fight, Silvana was able to get up a couple times, but Lupi just kept chaining them together, and, you know, taking over the match. Venessa doesn't have those tools. She's like I said, she runs and she crashes the pocket head first. Silvana has nice straight shots. I can see her walking onto something. The age has me a little weary, but the height is in favor of Silvana. The reach is in favor of Silvana, and I think that 1 inch is going to make a difference. As much as I like Venessa, got a little bit of a fan base, a little monster. She's a tough chick. I think now is the prime opportunity to take Silvana here And I take her by decision. Silvana Gomez by decision. We already did this breakdown last week, so I'm not going to go too crazy into it. But yes, I am flipping my pick here. I'm going to go with Silvana Gomez Suarez by decision. And I'm going to say 29-28. Maybe Venessa gets the first round. Moving on up the card, we got a bantamweight match here with my boy Raoni Barcelos versus newcomer Victor Henry. Now, I did a couple tape study on this guy, Victor Henry. He fought a lot in Pancrase and a lot of these other Japanese promotions. 21-5, that's a respectable record. He's coming in here, you know, him and Raoni have both 34 years old, both 5'7", reach not listed on this website, but I think he's going to have a slight reach advance over Raoni Barcelos, but come on, look at these fights going in for Raoni. Chris Gutierrez finished him. You know, Carlos Hayukin finished him. You know what I mean? Saeed Nurmagomedov, you know, that was a pretty one-way traffic decision. Khalid Taha, one-way traffic. Timur Valiev, really close fight. Maybe a draw. Maybe you had it for Raoni. But, you know, those are really high-level fighters there where they fight 10 times, it's going to look different. Now, Victor Henry, to me, hasn't fought anybody close to the caliber of who Raoni Barcelos has fought and who Raoni Barcelos is. Nasty wrestling, nasty boxing, aggressive, very, very, very tactical in his approach when it comes to flowing on the ground and grappling. And Victor Henry, to me, just looks like someone who's going to prod on the outside, you know, maybe mix up a takedown here and there, but just really try and stay away from what Raoni's bringing to him. And, like, this fight is going to be a bull matador type of situation. You got to really counter the fact that maybe Victor Henry can land, like, a nice, sneaky, straight down the pipe and catch Raoni, but Raoni keeps his guard up. He's very technical, man. He's an elite fighter. He's 34. A lot of people keep, you know, ragging on the age. I don't think that matters. I think Raoni's going to go in there and just tear up Victor Henry. And as a minus 420 favorite, hard to really get that involved into any of your betting slips because, you know, how much value does it add? But I think Raoni Barcelos is going to run through Victor Henry and really have a moment where he lets you guys know, like, come on, I'm one of the best bantamweights in the world. You're giving me a debut cat here. I'm going to run right through him. Raoni Barcelos, I think, early second round submission, rear naked choke. And Barcelos continues on his dominance. Now we're moving on to a flyweight fight. We got, and I just heard the soundbite for how to say this. Jasmine Jourdain. Jasmine Jourdain. All right, there you go. Versus Kay Hansen. Jasmine fighting out of Niagara, right? St. Catharines, they got it listed as here. I used to live around them parts over there for a short part of my life. So we got, like I said, 32 years old versus the, you know, 10 years younger Kay Hansen. You know, 5 inches in height, 5 inches in reach as listed per Tapology. And we got a girl, Kay Hansen, who's got a lot of hype. You know, she's always got a lot of hype. I bet against her with Corey McKenna, close fight, but, you know, I felt like I got the money I deserved in that fight. And Corey McKenna is another young prospect that's really developing. Jinh Fry, I thought, was winning that fight. Then she got caught in the triangle armbar there. It was late in the fight, but I really thought Jinh Fry was on her way. And then you just look at these fights prior. I mean, she lost to Blanchfield. I mean, that's an important fight to know. That was 3 years ago, so she would have been, what, 19 years old? That's a good fight. Erin Blanchfield, and it looked like it was a majority, so maybe someone gave her a draw in there. But, like, look at the course of these past few years. Like, you know, she hasn't really been getting a super win streak together, and she hasn't been being that dominant. Now, this Jasmine Jourdain girl, I bet on her on the Contender Series. Started out the first round so hot. Looked very dominant, looked very strong. Started to really slow down in that fight. And it could be the pressure. It could be she overexerted trying to get the girl out of there. It's hard to know. Is it really a gas tank issue? This split decision here with Elise Reed is a very, very close fight. It very well could have been the other way, and we could be looking at an undefeated prospect here now. Yes, age. You know, people are going to point to that, 10 years younger, but she's only 32. You know, Jasmine's pretty much in her physical prime, I would say. And with the height and the reach advantage, I do think she's the bigger woman here. She's not afraid to tangle up and start wrestling. And as a plus 205 dog, I like it. I do. I like the shot here at Jasmine. I will more than likely put a bit of maybe a half unit sprinkle on Jasmine to win this fight by decision. I mean, and another thing we've noticed, Kay Hansen gets cut up in a lot of these fights she's in, right? She gets cut up. This Jasmine girl is very vicious. I can see a lot of elbows being thrown, and a lot of things going on with Kay Hansen. Her dealing with the injuries, and I think she was talking about her having a bit of an eating disorder. There's a lot of things going against her here, and I'm not someone who really relies on the narrative, but I'm gonna go with someone who I've seen absolute consistency from. The only loss that she has is to a girl who's now in the UFC. And it was one of those ones that, maybe another judge is there, scores the fight for Jasmine. So I'm not going to put too much stock in that loss. It's just a split decision. She is not out here getting finished. She's not out here getting dominated by someone that's not UFC caliber. As you know, Elise Reed is in the UFC, as bad as her debut looked. I'm going Jasmine here by decision. And I think she wins dominantly. I think she wins like a 30-27 decision. But that's best case scenario. We are betting on a plus 200 dog here. But I'm going to go with Jasmine. Moving on up the card. We got a bantamweight bout. Tony Gravely versus Saimon Oliveira. Now, we're going to start with Saimon Oliveira here. I did place a bet on him against Jose Aldo here in the Contender Series. And boy, I thought Jose Aldo took that fight on short notice. Up a weight class, by the way. If I do remember. Took that fight up a weight class. And, man, Aldo didn't look good at all, to be honest. I thought he didn't look good at all. And the fight was a lot closer than I would have expected, considering that, Saimon definitely was supposed to fight somebody else. So let me go back and look at this. He was supposed to fight, Javid Basharat. That's who he was supposed to fight. I forget what happened as far as that goes. Jose Aldo steps in on short notice and still works Saimon to a split decision. He's very stiff. He's a very stiff guy, very, very Muay Thai centric. Not too much heavy head movement, but throws heavy shots, heavy punches, heavy kicks. And he's got a bit of a grappling game. Now, in my opinion, I think Tony Gravely is the much better fighter here. Minus 250, I still have a bad taste in my mouth from that Nate Menez knockout, right? Because he had him finished in the first round and just couldn't get it done. And now when we really evaluate some of these wins, like Geraldo, that was a split decision. That's not too good. Anthony Burchak, I mean, that's what people are doing to him these days. And then he loses to Brett Johns, who, he went on a bit of a run. And then we see Ray Rodriguez. Like, these aren't the best wins from the boy Gravely here. And as much as I do like his style, I like his little power wrestling game, his little Russell boxer game. He will have a 3-inch reach advantage here as per Tapology. Man, like I said, I really have that bad taste in my mouth from Tony Gravely really having the fight in his hands against Nate Menez and then just losing it. Definitely not the same fighter here with Oliveira. Nate Menez, I'll give him a bit of a credit. A lot more head movement, a bit quicker hands as well, a bit faster. I feel like there's going to be a severe speed disadvantage here for Saimon Oliveira, although I do believe he has more power than Tony Gravely. Now, initial lean until the weigh-ins, I'm going to go with Tony Gravely. More UFC tested against this debutant here. Minus 250, it's a bit scary. It's a bit steep. But I do believe Tony Gravely has the tools to take this guy down, avoid submissions, ground and pound, hit him with some nasty overhand rights, and really put him on the back foot. That's how I can see this fight going. And I would say Tony Gravely finishes this fight late or wins a unanimous decision. So I'll go Tony Gravely. But post weigh-in show, I'll definitely give that fight a real look under the microscope and make sure I'm sure of what I'm doing as far as that goes. But no bet. We don't want to touch that. Now we're moving on up to an 155 lightweight bout between Matt the Steamroller Frevola versus Genaro Valdez. Now, this guy, we'll start with Genaro. As you can see, 10-0. Coming off some real good finishes. He gets to the Contender Series. really goes balls to the wall and empties the gas tank in the first round. You know, he was like a minus 700 favorite. I remember looking and I'm watching the fight. I said, man, should I jump in on this Patrick White guy here? Because he's putting up a bit of a fight. Although Patrick White does drop and lose the fight in the second round. After all the shots he took, that one little right hand he ended up taking, it put him down. And they were quick to stop that fight because a whole bunch of damage had been going both ways. And then we have a guy, Matt Frevola here, as you see. You know, a fight with Lando Venata here. We have a Jalen Turner, which obviously severe reach disadvantage there. Luis Pena, severe reach disadvantage there, but he gets a split decision and the win over Jalen Turner. So those are some pretty good names. And he loses to Arman Sarukian. Like, come on. Arman Sarukian, maybe one of the best lightweights to be determined. And then Terrence McKinney, 5-second flash knockout. I think we're sleeping on Frevola here. This Genaro guy likes to brawl and he likes to wrestle, and I think Frevola is a good counter wrestler. He's a good counter wrestler and he's a good gas tank. And that fight there, where Valdez fought Patrick White, the exhaustion, I can't get that out of my mind. Like, he was so exhausted. He was so exhausted. He's lucky enough that Patrick White was ready to pick up his fight and go home, because if that's Matt Frevola, you're not getting him out. I don't think you're getting him out there tired, you know? If you're going to get him, it's got to be a flash first round KO. And I think aside from Terrence McKinney, I'm pretty sure one of those have also happened to Matt Frevola earlier in his career. Yes, Polo Reyes. Look at that. 1 minute, right? So Valdez literally has 1 minute where I'd say Matt Frevola is frail, right? And I don't see any knockouts in 1 minute. Let's be real. He's not submitting Matt Frevola. It's not happening here. And as much as Matt Frevola's chin has me worried, I think he's the better overall fighter. I think he's the more experienced overall fighter, and he's definitely fought way stiffer competition. Minus 200 is a little steep, but I do see the money line coming down, people taking the dog shot at Valdez. I like Matt Frevola in this matchup, and I think he wins. I don't know if he finishes Valdez, but I think he can win a real dominant unanimous decision. So I'll go Matt Frevola by decision. Valdez gets gassed mid-second round and starts to really give up a lot of positions to Matt Frevola, who just has an endless gas tank. They don't call him the steamroller for nothing. Matt Frevola by decision, beating Valdez in his debut. Man, we got a lot of this. 3 in a row. Saimon Oliveira, Genaro Valdez, and now Michael Morales. All guys off the Contender Series. You know, this is Contender Series loaded. So, next fight of the night, we got a welterweight bout between Michael Morales versus Trevin Giles. Now, Michael Morales, 22 years old, 7 years younger. They're listed the same height, 6 foot, 6 foot. I thought Michael Morales would have been a little bit taller, but Michael Morales has the 5-inch reach advantage. This does not matter, and I'll tell you why. This fight he had here with Nikolai Ventronov, I remember that fight. He came in as a big dog, all right, almost a 2-to-1 dog, and he schooled this guy. He really did. He had a good first round, but eventually started to really slow down. Michael Morales was able to work the grappling and pretty much just hold him down, right? Like, didn't really threaten too much submissions, but really showed that he has a wrestling background, right? They said he was on the national team in Ecuador, right? I don't really know how the level of wrestling in Ecuador is, but he made the wrestling team at 22. So, really freak athlete. Probably one of the best prospects they got coming out of Ecuador. Going up against Trevin Giles, right? A guy we've seen numerous times win a lot of fights till he losing fights. But, man, let's just take a step back and admire the competition of Trevin Giles here. Even though early in his career, we got here Brendan Allen, who was in the UFC. Yes, he was 2-0. We can make excuses for that. 5 years ago, he gets submitted in the second round, right? Black belt. Moving on up. Ike Villanova, he's not that good, but he gets him out of there. Arm triangle. And if you're noticing the size of these men, Ike Villanova fought at heavyweight. Brendan Allen's a middleweight. Ryan Spann right? Split decision, but Ryan Spann is a light heavyweight, right? Currently, and who struggles to make light heavyweight. And it looked like Ryan Spann was coming in here making 185 at one point, man. It's hard to even imagine. So you have Ryan Spann, UFC. Brendan Allen, UFC. Ike Villanueva in the UFC, but definitely bounced out, proved he couldn't hang, and Trevin Giles finished him as well. You know, then he finishes James Bokchinov. Then he finishes Antonio Braga Neto. You know what I mean? Then he goes up against some real veterans, right? And as you can see, third round finish guillotine in fights he was winning. Gerald Michard, submission ace. Zach Cummins, tough guy, but there's one thing we got to know is these are middleweight fights. He is genuinely undersized in these fights. Like, all these guys he's fighting, he's undersized too. Now Trevin Giles is dropping down to 170, which I don't think he's done before. Like I may be able to look through here. Maybe early in his career he was a 170. Let's go back as old as we could go. No, he was 205 back then. So Trevin Giles has been fighting, has a amateur career all the way back to 2012. So this is like 9 years, right? He's an underdog, and to me, Michael Morales, I watched him fight. Yeah, he's got some decent wrestling. The striking wasn't as good as I thought it would be. It really looks a little off. It looks a little slower than you would imagine. And I think Trevin Giles' boxing combinations and the way he's springing, as you can see, his ability to submit bigger guys. I mean, how is Trevin Giles going to lose this fight? Honestly. Is it the undefeated? Is it the hype tax? Is it because what Dana put on Michael Morales? I don't think he's ready for a guy like Trevin Giles right now. And you better believe, as much as me and Trevin Giles have never been someone I've confidently bet, he's not losing to Michael Morales. Come on. Trevin Giles, I hope he doesn't KO the kid, but I think he wins dominantly here. You better believe I'll be having to play on Trevin Giles here. The way more advanced fighter. This is at 170, so I know he's taking this absolutely serious, tired of fighting those big guys, right? He's like, let me go fight some of my own size. Oh, wait, you're giving me a 22-year-old kid? Probably hasn't even physically developed to the way I am. I'm 29 years old. I'm prime. Trevin Giles, you can't go there and lose to this guy. And I don't think he will. Trevin Giles, dominant decision. I hope he doesn't KO Michael Morales, but I wouldn't be surprised. Moving on up the card, we got a middleweight bout between Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, versus Wellington Turman. Wellington Turman isn't the best fighter out here. Let's be real. He isn't the best fighter out here. But he's gone up against a decent level of competition, right? I mean, look, Carl Robertson, split decision. Marquez Perez, unanimous. But he wins that. Andrew Sanchez, yeah, I remember he got knocked out. Bruno Silva knocked out. And then a split decision against Sam Alvey. But the course of the competition, definitely a lot better than Rodolfo Vieira, and that's something we got to consider. Rodolfo Vieira is a jiu-jitsu guy first, right? And you look, Sarbag Savarov, Anthony Hernandez, he gets finished as a big favorite in that fight, obviously, he gets submitted. And then Dustin Stolfis, right? Dustin Stolfis and Sarbag Savarov, and then even here, this Oscar Pitota, right? These guys never amounted to anything. I can also say Wellington Turman, most of these guys he fought still have jobs. I mean, Anderson just got released. Bruno Silva's still hanging. Sam Alvey's had it rough, but he's still hanging. Marcus Perez is, I think, released. Carl Robertson is still, I think, around. This is one of those fights where I feel like it's going to be a lot of grappling. Wellington Turman definitely has to somehow manage to get Rodolfo Vieira tired enough to really, dig in here and pull the upset. This to me is a no bet. Hard for me to really get an angle, in my opinion, on who's going to win here. The striking to me, I mean, Wellington Turman's slightly better in the striking. Grappling, obviously, you got to go to the black belt hunter. They match up really pretty well size-wise, right? You just have to wonder just how much grappling defense training Wellington's going to have enough to outlast Rodolfo Vieira. Because I do believe that he came in last fight, he looked better, he was reserving his gas tank, but the pace was really low. And I feel like Wellington Turman's pace is just a little bit higher than that, and we're going to see how this works out for Vieira. This is I like the dog, but I can't bet the dog. And I think as square as this pick is going to be, I'll say Rodolfo Vieira by submission, most likely outcome. But definitely don't trust Rodolfo Vieira with my hard-earned money. But that's it as far as the bout order goes here. I think that should be on the main card, but looks like they have it listed as a prelim fight. Excuse me, but like I said, the bout order can change at any moment in time. So, you know, don't weigh into the bout order too much here. But we're getting on to the main card now. First fight of the night, we got a debutant, Andre Fialho, versus Michel Pereira. Now, what a showman this guy is. Michel Pereira, you know him for the back flips, the front flips, the dancing to the octagon. He's a very, very exciting fighter. This loss here, don't look at it, it was disqualification. He was running through with the old Diego Sanchez. And he's looked pretty good. As the fights have gone on, he looks like he's improving. And, you know, very springy, very athletic guy. A pretty decent reach. Surprisingly going to be at a reach disadvantage here in this fight, right? Just the height advantage. And then he's going up against this newcomer, this debutant, Andre Fialho, who fights out of Sanford MMA. And I watched a bit of tape on him. It's hard for me to really say anything negative. He's running through guys, right? He's got power. As you can see, he's coming off 3 first-round KOs in a row. You know, and if we look at this, 4 of those fights were in 2021. You know, he's in shape. Right? His last fight was what? Like 4 months ago, 2 months ago? He's in shape. He's ready to go. Notable losses here. Chris Curtis, you know him in the UFC already. Chidi Njoku. I mean, he's in the UFC as well. And also, how long ago was that? Was that 5 years ago? 2 years ago? But since then, since 2021, he's been on a run with KOs. And I'm a firm believer in something called momentum. And as much as I love Michel Pereira here, he's lost a lot of third rounds here. He's lost a lot, and I feel like this fight is going to be extremely explosive in the first round. The best fight here, the best pick here for this fight, to me, I believe, is fight maybe under 2.5. I don't know that is that. But I'm going to trust that Andre Fialho is in fantastic shape, considering that he had 4 fights in 2021. This is coming off a recent bout he just had with someone who's a bit of a bouncy, springy striker, right? Seth Felix is one of those guys who like to hang on the outside, and he was able to close the distance and get him. Man, I like the power of Andre Fialho. Is he going to land? I feel like Chaos could have maybe landed a little bit more in this fight with Pereira, and he just sat back a little bit, respected Pereira's movement a little too much. I think Andre Fialho is going to go out there and get him and make a name for himself. I'm picking Andre Fialho with the upset by KO. We're going to see Pereira kiss the canvas. And, you know, you want an interesting dog shot right there? Andre Fialho by KO, round 1. And I think he's going to ride that momentum and going to be a real problem in the welterweight division. Moving on up, we got 3 fights left. Cody Stamann versus Said Nurmagomedov. Now, definitely not the same type of fighter as the other Nurmagomedovs that you see. Not really a huge pressure grappler. More of a flowy, floating striker. Now, I see a lot of people picking Cody Stamann, and I just can't. I can't see it. Even despite the level of competition he's had, he's just shown you that he's just not that guy, right? He could beat a guy like Brian Kelleher. He could beat a guy like Alejandro Perez, but that's his apex, you know. He can't get over the Jimmy Riveras. He can't get over the Merab Dvalishvili. And, like, let's be real. Mark Striegel, cool. Raoni Barcelos, what does Raoni Barcelos do to Cody Stamann, right? I mean, can only imagine. Ricardo Ramos, I think you know what? I think Cody Stamann would give Ricardo Ramos a decent scrap. We are paying the Nurmagomedov Russian tax here, but I think it's an obvious pick to make. I mean, I think Said is faster. I think it's a big cage. He's going to be way more elusive. I think Cody Stamann is going to be shooting at air. My goodness. Saeed has almost a what? A 6.5. No, sorry, 5.5. Almost 6-inch reach advantage. You know, a 5'8" to 5'6". I just feel like he's too long. It's going to be really difficult in there for Cody to close the gap in there and get those takedowns. And I don't think he's going to hold down Nurmagomedov. I just don't see it. Even if he gets him down once, I don't think it's going to be a repetitive occurrence in this fight. I do believe that Saeed's going to get off the better shots in this fight, the more crowd-pleasing strikes. This is the arena full of people. They're going to be cheering for the strikes, booing for grappling. This isn't Cody Stamann's realm, and I know people are like him as the dog, but I don't see it. Saeed Nurmagomedov, Cody's tough. I don't think he's going to get finished, but I think Saeed Nurmagomedov cruises here. I think he cruises here dominantly, and puts Cody Stamann in a rough 3-loss skid. Probably going to have to reevaluate some things, but we don't need to get in this too much. We got a Russell boxer in Cody Stamann versus a high-caliber fighter in Saeed Nurmagomedov. Just a Russell boxer. Cody's not threatening any submissions. He has no knockout power. He doesn't have any combinations. Don't make this difficult, guys. Don't look at one guy getting down Saeed Nurmagomedov and think, oh, well, Raoni Barcelos did it, so Cody... No, he can't. He can't. Just telling you. This is going to be one-way traffic. Don't think a knockout happens, but wouldn't be surprised. Saeed Nurmagomedov cruises to victory there in this main card. Now, the toughest fights to call here, right? The toughest fights. Love Brandon Moreno. I love Figueiredo, the Zeus de Guerra, the god of war. Man, we're looking at the stats here. We already know. We've seen this fight a couple times now. In the first fight, Figgy did win the fight. Minus, the point taken away being a draw. If that fight, if he doesn't lose the point, maybe we don't even hear from Brandon Moreno. Second fight, Figueiredo obviously had the bad weight cut. I noticed that on the scale. I put a lot of money on Brandon Moreno. I saw his eyes look really red. He looked very, very drained. I was like, man, how's this guy supposed to fight? Another thing that gave it away for me is in the press conference. I mean, not press conference, in the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins, the energy for Figueiredo was different. He reached out for a handshake to Moreno versus the little gremlin pit bull antics that he usually has. He reached out for a handshake as if he was conceding defeat right there and then. And the fight played out that way. It seemed like Figueiredo did not come to fight, and he wasn't himself. So if these guys fight 10 times, how many different results? Do you guys really think Brandon Moreno wins a lot more than he loses? I don't know. Brandon Moreno beat him when he didn't look like himself. When he looked like himself, it was fairly competitive, but Figueiredo won. The plus money on Figueiredo at plus 150 as they have him here. The fact that he's staying over there fight ready and really getting his body into the best shape possible, and to me I think that is important. It was always the gas tank and managing risk, managing these big actions he loves to do, and to respect Brandon Moreno's power, right? I mean, respect the power that's coming at you. I feel like Figueiredo didn't respect anything Moreno threw. And in the second fight, he got caught and dropped. And I'm sure that was a real surprise to him. Could have been the weight cut. I love Moreno a lot. Figueiredo is a dog. Knockout power. Great grappling. Or jiu-jitsu as far as submission goes. I would say Moreno's slightly better physical wrestling. I think Figgy gets his belt back. And I like Moreno a lot. Really early in the week, I was thinking Moreno wins this, no question. Look at this streak he's on. Kai Car France W. Juicy Formiga W. Brandon Royval, shoulder injury, what it may. He's on a wonderful streak of wins here over the last couple years, dating back 2 years, right? Just absolute wins. Obviously has the draw with Askar Askarov, but I mean, come on. This might be one of the other top contenders. And then you really go back and look. Last couple losses to Alejandro Pantoja, who's a monster, and Sergio Pettis, who's a bantamweight right now. And we look at Figgy. And yes, it's a long laundry list of green until it ain't, right? He comes in 14-0, drops a fight to Jussier Formiga, which, like I said, he didn't look like himself. He talked about it. He wasn't himself in that fight. Then he comes back and absolutely does the damn thing. Against, look at these, Pantoja, Tim Elliott, Joseph Benavidez, Alex Perez. Like, these guys are fighters, right? These are top contenders here. Then dropped Moreno and then lost to Moreno. What I know post bad performance, it looks like Figueiredo comes back dominantly, and can beat a guy like Alexander Pantoja, who, you know, has beaten Moreno on 2 occasions. I'm gonna go with Figgy reluctantly. May flip flop post weigh-in show, but as of right now, I'm gonna go with Division Figueiredo to get his belt back and become the flyweight champion and put this rivalry to bed. I don't think Moreno's going to earn the rematch. I believe that after this fight, they're going to move on to new contenders. Figueiredo and New. Now, for the main event fight of the night. The heavyweight, the UFC heavyweight championship of the world. Francis the Predator Ngannou versus Cyril Bongame Gane. Man, 6'4", 83 inch, as per Tapology. Boy, these physical specimens here. We're going to take a quick rundown through Francis's few fights, but we already know what it is. Decimation. Round 2, 50 seconds. Destruction. Round 1, 20 seconds. A minute 11, 26 seconds, 45 seconds. The man hasn't had a fight longer than 2 rounds really in 3 years. Anytime he did, it looked like it was a decision loss. Cyril Gane, we know he can go out there and prove he's the better fighter over time, right? Only a couple finishes on his illustrious career in the UFC, right? I think 1, 2, 3, 4. So not too bad. 4-3. Definitely not the showstopper you would say that Francis Ngannou is, but listen, we have somebody here in Cyril Gane who is faster, better footwork, maybe better grappling. That's another thing I say maybe, because we haven't really seen Francis on the offensive grappling, which, you know, I feel like he alludes to a lot of the times. Like, you guys don't know what I can do. You guys don't know. Cyril Gane is very fast. He's very elusive. Got great combinations, leg kicks. I feel like he'll be definitely winning the point battle here, Francis. But he's got to get in range. You know, most of the last few fights Cyril Gane has had, he's always had the reach advantage by quite a bit. He's always had the reach advantage. Even against a guy like Volkov, right? 6'7" guy, he had the reach advantage and the speed advantage. Francis is deceptively longer than you think with that reach and that power. Cyril is going to have to get in punching range. Cyril is going to have to be extra fast to hit the jabs and get out of there. Has he fought anybody recently with an 83-inch reach? No. You know, and he's very defensively sound, but it just takes one. I keep telling myself, is Cyril Gane going to win the fight based on his skill level? Or are we really just going to have a realization where it's like, listen, these are 2 men in a cage. Skill level aside, who's going to emerge victorious? Francis, to me, if he doesn't get tired, is pretty unbreakable. He takes shots well. He eats shots, actually. You know, like, if he just eats them. Even power shots, like, he just shakes them off like they're nothing. He's so strong. He's deceptively quick. Long reach. As good as Cyril Gane is, are we really doubting the physical monster that Francis Ngannou is? And that even, wait, are we really gonna say, like, look, come on, look at this. Are we really gonna say that Stipe was less skilled than Francis? No. Definitely more skills. Look what happened. Jairzinho, definitely way more striking combinations, so a better striker. Look what happened. Junior Dos Santos, way more skills than Francis. Look what happened. Cain Velasquez, I mean, knee injury aside, whatever. Curtis Blades rustling over rustling over striking. We hear the story all the time. What happened? Alistair Overeem, K1 kickboxer, what happened? Orlovsky. Listen, what are we dealing with here? As much as I love Ciryl Gane, and I think, man, Ciryl Gane wins this, he's dominated in the heavyweight division. Who's taking the belt from him? Maybe Tom Aspinall, I don't know. Maybe someone new, maybe John Jones. This is still two men in a cage with their underwear with 4-ounce gloves. And I've been backing Ciryl Gane the whole way here. But as the money starts to flow in on Ciryl Gane, I ask myself, what have we learned? What have we learned about champions coming in as underdogs? Rose Namajunas, she won. Charles Oliveira, she won. We cannot doubt these champions. As much as Ciryl Gane paints a Picasso of a picture in that octagon, very pretty to watch, Francis is a Terminator. Francis is the exception to all the skills because he has the ultimate equalizer. Oh, yeah, Ciryl don't get hit. I was saying this thing to myself, but I said, man, but what if he does get hit? What if he does get hit? Then you're going to sit back to yourself if you bet on Ciryl Gane and say, man, the better fighter lost. But then you're going to sit to yourself and say, well, what did I expect? What did I expect? We know the type of man Francis is. And I'm going to bet on it. My brain, everything in me, saying Ciryl Gane is the better fighter. But when has that mattered in a Francis Ngannou fight? Ask yourself that. It's very simple. Francis is going to get him. And if he doesn't get him, then Ciryl Gane is going to make him look bad. That's what I expect. But I think they have a game plan. I think they're going to shock a lot of us. I think Francis is going to shoot a takedown and show us a different layer to his game we haven't seen before. That's just, an opinion of mine. I think we're going to see Francis grapple. And so he doesn't have to deal with the speed. So he doesn't have to deal with the striking. And really see who the better grappler is here. Yeah, we've seen Ciryl do some submissions. We've seen Francis do some submissions too. But Francis is the bigger man. The stronger man. I got to go with the Predator. And if he loses, hey, deep down inside, I always knew Ciryl Gane was the better fighter. But I don't want to pick the better fighter and have the better fighter lose on Saturday night. So I'm going to go with Francis Ngannou, the Predator. And still. And that brings us to the end of the breakdown. 13 fights on the docket. Thank you so much for watching Southpaw Picks. Look out for the post-weigh-in show. It should be dropping around Friday evening. Worst case, early Saturday morning, depending on the editing time for these videos. But we're almost here. Heavyweight action. The Predator versus the undefeated Phenom. I'm going to call him Phenom. He ain't a prospect no more. He's arrived. The trilogy. Moreno. Figueiredo. We're in for a treat. I look forward to it. It's out here in Anaheim, California. And we're going to have I think a 2-week or a week break after this. So no videos. So please soak it all in. Enjoy this MMA fights as we have it. I think I will be doing a Bellator breakdown next week. So you guys can look out for that. And yes, like I always say, don't forget to like and subscribe. And thank you for stopping by at Southpaw Picks.